Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. I am Jeff, and I'm joined as always by my good buddies Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
These guys debate and deliberate the most ubiquitous aspects of a variety of topics. And this time around, Richard chose it, I think. It is what?
It is the Mount Rushmore of secondary MCU characters.
Oh, wow. So it's a universe, and it's cinematic.
And it's Marvel.
And it's Marvel. And it's so big that we can have not just primary characters, but secondary characters.
So many times when you have these like sort of extended universes, you know, yes, the main characters are great, but sometimes it's the secondary characters that you remember the most.
Oh, yeah.
Are the ones that kind of like make the most impact with you.
Yeah.
And so I basically, my rules for this were, and if you guys followed her, I don't really care, were it couldn't be a character that had a movie kind of named after them, or that were in a group that had a character named after them. So like no Avengers, no Guardians.
Oh, okay.
Movie or a TV series. Mm-hmm. None of those.
Okay.
So you know what a secondary character is.
Yeah, sure.
You get the idea.
Yeah, they could be left off the poster if it was a thumbnail on a tablet or something like that. They might not be the center of the thing. Yeah.
They would definitely not be the center. They might be just like a floating head amongst a sea of other floating heads.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask, does this also include things that are out? So MCU, does it include Sony and Fox?
I would say that the Spider-Man movies would be probably
MCU.
fine, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't include Venom or Morbius.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
But-
All right.
You know,
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. None of mine are. I don't have any Superman or Spider-Man. I also don't have any Superman because that would be stupid.
That was just,
I also don't have any Spider-Man characters.
it's all Popeye. All right. So Michael starts.
my first choice was the Grandmaster
Oh.
from Thor.
Fun.
From Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah.
Played by
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum, who just, I like him as he's not, he's obviously a bad guy in the movie, but he's not the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy on the way to fighting Hela.
Yeah.
And he just, Jeff Goldblum just, in anything that he's done over the last decade, just chews up the scenery.
Oh, yeah.
He's so just, he has no problem just being like, okay, what's Jeff Goldblum? He's just going to play whatever he's going to do. Just let him go and it's going to be perfect and fine and weird and creepy. And his character of the Grandmaster on Sakaar is this kind of, cosmic being who has almost total control over everything. You don't really know what kind of powers he has.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of has them. He just kind of controls things. He's just kind of not quite omnipotent, but he's just kind of, he's otherworldly, but he's just like weird and pansexual and just a creep and just flirting with everybody.
Yeah.
And he's just so wonderful, and Jeff Goldblum is just like, so he's just so delicious, and he's just, he stumbles through just the way that he just speaks to, he's confused but like in control. He just kills people and they turn into goo. And like everything about him is just so great. I do appreciate that they brought him back for like a little Marvel short one-off thing where he's like living with some guy in Australia, or like in LA, and he's just like his roommate, and he's still kind of trying to dominate and control him, just like be like just an ass. He's just great at being like he's just an ass.
Yeah,
he's really likable, even though he's kind of vile. He's kind of gross guy, but he's just so charming.
Yeah,
like, you can't help but like him.
He's a great counter to Thanos in the big picture, because it seems like Thanos, though he is indulging in all of his own personal desires to dominate and to eliminate, he says it's never personal. And whereas with the Grandmaster, it just seems he's creepy orgy guy. It seems like he's Hugh Hefner of this whole planet. Like if it was he almost feels like his robe is going to come open at any minute now. Sure. and he's got a shitty keyboard in his little throne room there. So.
It's just so weird because Jeff Goldblum is so weird.
Yeah.
And then you give him a weird character and you kind of throw him into this like universe that until this time hadn't really had that sort of energy.
Yeah.
Sort of pulsating off of it.
Yeah.
It's great.
When The MCU started becoming more like galactic when they kind of got off Earth, you know, with Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, certainly. And, Benicio del Toro as the Collector, who I believe is canonically either in the MCU or just kind of in Marvel in general, is like the brother of the Grandmaster. I love these cosmic beings that are all like related.
Yeah.
You don't know who like the parent really is, but they're just like these omnipotent beings that just like exist to fuck around.
Yeah.
Like in space, because like they've been living for billions of years and eons, and they're just like,
I would also say, like, who are we going to get who can chew up more scenery than Benicio del Toro? Like, okay, well, we got Goldblum. And they're both these people who have this penchant for gathering things and adding them to their collection. And in this case, he's my champion. But fighting them against each other.
But he was definitely the first person when you suggested this. I was like, oh, he's just so great. Like, I want him to come back. I know he may never come back, or he could, but he's never going to be this in the same. He's just like the person that I want to return just for 3.5 minutes of just like just do weird mouth noises at at Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, that's funny. All right, Ricardo.
All right, we're in the same movie verse here.
Okay,
Michael. I went with Korg.
Oh, fun.
The giant rock monster.
Yeah, of course. I definitely tried to. I was really close to choosing him, but I was like, I can't start off with like two from the exact same movie.
Yeah, I think Korg is the perfect example of everything that went right with Thor Ragnarok, where things had not gone right with previous Thor movies.
Oh, yeah.
And you get, if there's any character you can point to and say, oh, that's the sense of humor that we have, or that's sort of the difference between this movie and the other Thor movies, and here's why people love this movie and the other movies, and Taika Waititi has basically said he based the character off of these bouncers in clubs in New Zealand, who are all these hulking like rugby player like monster looking guys, but had this very specific, very very gentle kind of way about them. But would definitely break your legs if they had to.
They love their moms and they live at home, but they have the sweetness to them. Yeah,
but will punch your face in if you get out of line.
Yeah.
And most of the lines, I did a little bit of research on this. I guess most of the lines were ad-libbed, which is, I guess, if you're playing the character and you're also directing and writing the film, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want to with this character, but. Chris Hemsworth just basically fell in love with the character and fell in love with the voice that he was doing, and really encouraged Taika Waititi to let's do more with Korg. And he was only supposed to be in 1 or 2 scenes, and just because Chris Hemsworth loved doing him so much, and Kevin Feige wound up seeing the dailies and really enjoyed it, they just kept adding more and more Korg. And I don't know if there is a line in the entire MCU that fills me with more joy, even than Avengers Assemble, than piss off, Ghost.
Piss off, Ghost. Yeah.
Just it's useful on any occasion.
Yeah,
really.
I do appreciate his delivery too in Avengers Endgame when they're playing video games.
Yeah,
and he's like, Thor, new Master 60. This guy's talking. He's being very rude to me. He's like, you get out of here, new Master 69. He's just very polite. He's like, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's just this rock guy that lives with Thor in Sweden.
And you guys know more of because I know he's more of the Korg character in Marvel is actually a bigger character than that, right? Or a different type of character?
I forget what type it is.
My understanding.
I forget what he says. What his breed of person is, because it kills me because he says what it is. But I think a Kronan. I think in Dark World he fights Kronan. Like in trying to unite all the universes, he ends up defeating a Kronan. But I love the improvisational nature of it. I can imagine it in the Kronan in Korg and Jeff in the Grandmaster make the world sillier. So now, even though Thor is very unaware of some of his hypocrisy, and Thor is unaware of some of his ridiculousness, he can be sillier because they're already going way far over the line. And then that moment where he says, "Bye, new Doug," where he says, so now the title character is New Doug,
right.
So I just love that context that it places for him.
Yeah, I was right that in the comic book universe, Korg actually winds up becoming very tied to Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Actually, and when they escape from Sakaar together. There's no Thor,
Ah.
and they wind up going back to Earth and having adventures.
I just finished reading the Planet Hulk run, where basically, with the movies, they kind of mish a lot of, they take little bits and pieces from here and there, and some of the heroes on Earth purposefully send Hulk off of Earth in a rocket ship because he's too out of control. So they're like, let's just send him to a planet where like it's really peaceful and he doesn't have to be around people and he'll be happy there. Of course, things go awry and it lands on this gladiator planet. So he's just extremely angry. And I think Korg is in there, but he's not as like, his personality isn't as big yet. Maybe once he comes back to Earth,
right,
to do like this big World War Hulk storyline where he like comes to kick everybody's ass for, you thought you could send me away. But Meek's in it and a bunch of other.
That makes me kind of concerned for Love and Thunder, because having read some of the comics that inspire it, they're very dramatic, and it has a subplot or a main storyline where Jane Foster's Earthbound identity is going through chemo, and
right,
were to have this completely, like Jojo Rabbit was not without its pathos and solemnness, but were it to be played for that big of laughs, I would be concerned that would somehow diminish that plot line. But
you'll find a way.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right. So what's your second, Michael Winfield?
Well, kind of starting with Thor and continuing into WandaVision, I'm going to choose Darcy. God, what's her last name? I have it written down. Darcy Lewis.
Okay.
From Smashing Pumpkins? The bass player?
The Kat Dennings character.
Oh, yeah.
As
She's
like
adorable.
the sidekick to the love interest in, the first movie, where she just has this great, I like her reaction to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like, Jane Foster is like, oh my God, we've opened this space time thing, and she's like, there's a shirtless naked guy that's out here, and her entire response is just so earnest, and like she gets the name of like Mjolnir wrong, she calls it Mew Mew, and she's just like this great friend that's there. You don't know how good a scientist she is, you don't know what she's just like the person that's like kind of going along with it, and she really I just love her like being supportive of Jane. And then really in like WandaVision, when you get to the TV series, she really gets to shine as like this kind of she's always been sarcastic, but like more of a in control, figure things out. She's stepping out from the shadows.
She's a doctor now. She's not an intern.
Yeah, she's definitely stepping out from like the shadows of everything. She's grown as a character to be someone that can like, figure things out and solve these problems in this crazy world. And really not take shit from anybody. She's a great not take shit type person.
I never saw Kat Dennings. I never watched Two Broke Girls, but she has a way of being this kind of vivacious and kind of a glowing presence, but still having somewhat of a flat realness to her. Like you almost feel like she's a real girl in a fake world. So as an audience advocate in a story
that's a good way to put it.
She's the one who just says what we're thinking. There's some weird shit happening.
Yeah, fire monsters here. Like whatever.
Yeah. That's she's a person who still has to pay rent, even though this character's going on intergalactic adventures. Oh, that's a fun pull. Because in a series with a lot of Agatha Harkness is kind of a supporting character. Is that her name?
Yeah.
But she's like the big bad in it, so I wouldn't necessarily call her like a secondary.
That's true. Yeah.
I thought of her, but that's the same thing. It's just like, well, who's the person that she ultimately is, throwing magic spells?
Yeah.
at?
And she changes whoever she is 20 times during that series. seemingly,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun choice. All right, Manfredi.
All right, my second choice is Shuri.
Oh,
Black
cool.
Panther, who I love. She's just great. I don't know if we need to explain exactly who Shuri is, but she is the sister of T'Challa.
Yeah.
And is also the world's smartest scientist, which I think is a pretty good combination. And I know, look, before any of our we get numerous letters on this.
Oh God, yeah.
I know that there's issues with the actress, and she's like an anti-vaxxer, and there's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they had to shut down production because of it, and in the sequel, it was a mess.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not going to get into that.
Okay,
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm going to separate the character.
Okay.
From the performer here. And I think I realized that I love characters who have great lines.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I think the best line in Black Panther is is it Black Panther where she says this, or is it? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember if it's that or if it's an Avengers movie when Bucky comes in, when she has to say, "Oh, great. Another broken white boy to fix," because she winds up, healing Everett Ross in Black Panther, and then later on, in addition to that, Bucky Barnes is brought to her as sort of like this reclamation project to get all the Hydra programming out of his head and put his bionic arm on him and all this sort of stuff. And I think it's great that there is a female character who is able to be shown as being both physical and also incredibly smart.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes with female characters, I think in action films, they're either shown as kind of primarily one or the other. Mm-hmm. It's not that Black Widow isn't smart, but we know Black Widow for her karate, kung fu, being the best hand-to-hand fighter in the world. And so it's rare to see, I think, in particular, a female character that is allowed to have that combination.
Yeah. His elite guard are very combat ready, but we don't know that they are scientists or anything like that. So Shuri is very different than them.
Shuri stands kind of apart from everyone else, even though she's a more than capable fighter. And I know in the comic book series, she winds up becoming Black Panther at one point.
I don't know.
Correct? Maybe I know more about Marvel comics than I thought.
There is a big blind spot that I'm currently working to fill in, and that's from when I stopped reading comics in like 2004, 2005 until present day. So I've currently caught up to. I really wanted to get into like a reread of like the X-Men, but then I ran into like this big monolith that is like the comic book events that started happening around the mid 2000s, like Annihilation and Planet Hulk, and I just finished Civil War, which man, I hated that book, that series, that crossover. But like, I'm just trying to play catch up, but I have this huge, missing like knowledge bank. Like if you were to ask me about, I don't know, something that happened to the X-Men in like 1991, I would tell you exactly what's happening. But like, I'm just trying to catch up. So there's all this stuff that's being pulled from a more recent, timeline or, series of events that I'm like, okay, I've seen the movie. Did it pull from there? Did it pull from something from 25 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah, no, and the other thing I love about Shuri, or one of the other things, is the fact it's just her I don't give a fuck kind of attitude. She doesn't, when it's time for the Black Panthers kind of not indoctrination, but sort of the ceremony to make it Black Panther. She doesn't want to get dressed up in all the robes and everything. She'd rather be wearing her t-shirt and comfortable pants and kind of just she is definitely more Americanized than any other Black Panther character. Yeah. Which I find interesting. Yeah. The smartest one is also the one who took the most interest in the outside world, which winds up becoming this kind of big, obvious, one of the big plot points of Black Panther is this idea of focusing on the outside world versus internalizing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And does seem like she is one of these voices likely who is almost like a consigliere to the king saying, we need to modernize the image of what Wakanda is, and we can't hide all this stuff from the it's a fun pick. I was reading the Ironheart series at the time when Black Panther. I was starting to hear about it, and I heard about that character, and I remember thinking, oh my God, they're going to make Shuri into Ironheart and take over the Iron Man throne, but I think they're doing something different with that. But yeah, it's a great character also. Like the Afrofuturism of the design for Black Panther has technology creating an amazing community, but it also is entirely separate from Western architecture. It has this sense of indigenous to this world, not the Western world. Right. So that was really cool. This is halftime, and at this point we're going to say, y'all.
That's what we're going to say.
Fuck off, ghosts. New Doug. God, he's so funny. Clean up your tools. What was he? He's trying to get them to clean up their...
Still got the brains and the blood on it.
Your hammer pulled you off? Ooh. God, stuff is
you
funny.
Had a very special relationship with your hammer?
Yeah, it sounds like he had a...
Hammer. I cannot do it in New Zealand.
Oh, God.
Among the accents that I cannot do, New Zealand is one of the most.
Oh, and then I love the woman, I forget the actress's name, who's a Waititi regular kind of, who's... plays his assistant, and Scrapper. What was I just saying? Scrapper 23. It starts with a B. Trash. I think it was like trash. No, it sounded like you were just waiting to say trash. She's great. Okay, yeah, guys, download, rate, read past episodes. Give the gift of Rushmore to. It fits perfectly in a stocking, doesn't it? Or.
I mean, it's free.
It's like a gift card that you don't have to pay for.
You don't have to pay for it at all.
It doesn't actually have any value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let us know who you think is the best secondary Mount Rushmore character. I think it's probably one of Jeff's presidents.
I think it could be. That all had the same accent every time they would come out. Yeah, do that. Okay, we're back. Okay, now it's Michael.
My third choice is another Lewis. It's Lewis as in Ant-Man.
Luis, you mean?
Oh,
Luis,
God.
Also on my list.
Oh, good.
Oh, God, I love it.
He is so perfect in this kind of best friend that he met in prison role.
Yeah.
That turns into another sort of a way to yada yada through a story.
Yeah.
He can fast talk and bring everyone up to speed and get you to the point.
He's like walking exposition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a great way to put it. And he's just so full of life and so energetic and so optimistic, even though he's had like such a rough go of things. And it could be too that I'm just hoping that whatever story they use, there's something that like I don't know. In the first Ant-Man, I loved it when it didn't involve Luis, but when the Hornet, Yellow Jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, I'm gonna disintegrate you, and then like the iPod starts playing Disintegration by The Cure. And then I loved it when he starts telling his story in Ant-Man 2, and he starts talking about Morrissey.
Yeah.
And it's just like the jukebox only has Morrissey on there. And it's for a very specific reason for us Latinos. And it's just like,
yeah.
Okay. And then I'm just waiting for what is the Depeche Mode thing going to be in like, Mania. There's got to be like a Depeche Mode. I can't think of what other band there would be other than those two that will just pop up, but who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, he's so great and he's so enthusiastic and he's just shot of energy in every scene he's in.
Yeah.
That he just makes one of the best MCU secondary characters.
He's just so optimistic. I mean, when he's when Paul Rudd asks him, how things have been going since he's out of prison. Well, my girlfriend broke up with me, and my mom died, and my dad got deported. But hey, I got the van.
Yeah.
So he's like always able to find the positive.
Yeah.
In any situation, which I guess is probably how you get through years of prison and San Quentin.
I love that the van too becomes such a huge
Key role
later. At the end of Endgame, it's just like this thing that is we got to get him to the van.
I feel like they must have cut out, like, Endgame was such a huge amalgam of so many different characters having their bows and goodbyes and hellos and moments and things like that. Like, when I heard that, I thought, or wait, no, that's Battle Hymn of the Republic. What was the horn on the?
Isn't it like Cucaracha?
Yeah, something like that.
I think.
Yeah, I just remember thinking, is Lewis going to show up and do a recap of everything? What I loved about Ant-Man, the Ant-Man series, is it plays with storytelling in the micro and macro levels, and so you're seeing things from two worlds at the same time. Like, you might see these two guys fighting on a train, and then we see it from a normal size view, and it's a little wooden toy train that falls off the track.
Right.
And so it deals with those, but then it deals with narrative from a third person standpoint when Lewis starts talking. So I met this Superfly girl at the blah, blah, blah. And then we see people lip syncing to his voice.
That kills me every time, yeah.
And they're doing the head nod that Lewis would do if he was imitating a Latina girl. It's just so funny. It was so awesome. Oh, God, that's a great choice. That's the Michael Pena. It's Michael Pena. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, then, Richard, what's your fourth?
All right. My fourth choice is Yondu from the Guardians of the Galaxy world.
Fun.
The Ravager who picked up a young Peter Quill from Earth.
Michael Rooker?
Michael Rooker.
Rooker, okay.
And did not take him to his... I think that he basically had been picking up kids for slave labor or something like that, if I remember correctly. Or death.
He was retrieving his offspring to test them for...
Well, Ego was doing that, yeah.
So Ego was paying Yondu to retrieve his offspring when possible to test them for the extension of his powers, I think.
Right. And if I remember correctly, if it wasn't... if the kid didn't have the powers, they just offed him.
Yeah, I don't know if the Ravagers did. But
the Ravagers didn't, but I think Ego did.
Yeah, Ego has a cemetery
and I think
beneath
the Ravagers knew. I think at least Yondu kind of knew what the deal was.
Yeah,
and he winds up taking Peter Quill.
Yes,
kind of adopting him instead of taking him to be part of this.
Yes,
look. They managed to make a character who shepherded tens of thousands of kids to their death. Mm-hmm. And somehow you wind up caring about him and rooting for him by the second Guardians movie. And I remember bawling when he died at the end of the Ravagers salute for him. That was one of the things that got me all teary-eyed.
Yeah.
And it's amazing they were able to do this with this, like, on the surface, loathsome, villainous, no morality, awful character.
Space pirate
with like no conscience whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And what they were able to do with that character in the two movies, and I think you mentioned Michael Rooker. I think it's a credit to him as an actor, how he was able to find that sliver of humanity that was still inside Yondu, and over the course of two movies, kind of flesh it out. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's definitely to James Gunn's credit that he was able to get the audience to invest in a character that otherwise just should have been a stock villain. Yeah.
I think maybe only in Guardians of the Galaxy, which seemed like a movie where they had the third string heroes, like that. The film was populated with people who were formerly secondary, or character. No, I guess Peter Quill wasn't, but like they were kind of... Groot was a villain in early Marvel stuff, and so
Drax was a much different type character. Mm-hmm. He was a lot more elaborately dressed with big purple cape and all this stuff before they kind of reimagined him right around this 2005 or so into like this destroyer, or to like the more heavily tattooed and whatever type thing. Yeah,
I would just say, having been a genre director, Gunn kind of cast some genre people. Like Michael Rooker, I don't think he could do a British accent.
No, he's going to play Michael Rooker, essentially.
Yeah, he's going to be Henry Porter of a serial killer. He's going to be that guy. And Dave Bautista's, he's got some range, but he's a genre kind of performer. So
of all the different like wrestlers turned actors, why
him?
Why him? How did he end up being so good? Which is crazy.
Well, again, I think it's that it was the combination of right actor, right character, right director.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, there are times where he has to show some range, but a lot of the time he is able to just find the laugh in sort of just stating something in a very deadpan, the most deadpan way possible.
Yeah.
And that's what gets you the laugh.
Yeah. He's not grounding us in the reality. When Peter Quill shows some really authentic emotion or something like that, Drax isn't doing that. Or Lee Pace as Ronan has this very grounding presence that seems very fearful, but
even though Drax's character is a character that is steeped in grief, and loss, he's still a funny character. But with Yondu, I would make the case for him because once again, I know I've repeated this a couple of times. It's fascinating to me when villains get rehabilitated. Mm-hmm. I'm a sucker for that kind of plot line. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the most recent best examples of that.
Yeah.
He also just has just the capper of all lines in that movie. Where he's just like, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. He doesn't know who this person is. Yeah. And it's just like, is Mary Poppins cool? He's like,
is he cool? Yeah, he's cool. That moment as we see this father redeemed in the eyes of his son, and I think, isn't it playing on the iPod at the end? The father and the son, the Cat Stevens.
Yeah, the Cat Stevens song. Yeah.
Yeah, where here's this movie that's the first movie is about a bunch of strangers who become a team, and now this one's about this team that becomes a family, and then a person who realizes the person who was his biological family was really just this person who was manipulating him, and the sacrifice came from the person who was his parent versus his
stepfather.
Yeah,
who ends up becoming more of his father than his actual father was.
Oh yeah, very very touching.
Was there any more of an unnecessary cameo as Sylvester Stallone as a
hey, yo, I'm a Ravager, all right?
Like just that inclusion in it was like, oh my goodness, like what was the point of this?
Or Michelle Yeoh as one of the Ravagers. It's sort of like she should be doing something more in the MCU than.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah,
like Stallone, you could see that just being kind of a stunt cameo, sort of like fun thing. But Michelle Yeoh, it's sort of like she's too good to be in this for like 2 scenes.
Yeah, I do think it did set up. Rooker set up this the Ravagers as being these space pirates, and it helped build out that dimension of this. And also helped build out Quill. Quill goes from being this child who's seen his mother die in front of him, and he's crying and tearful, to this thief who's stomping on these fragile little lizards that are crawling around. He's just being an asshole. So at some point, he turned into a hardened space asshole, and it was probably for hanging around these space pirate cowboy guys.
Yeah, which I know we didn't really talk much about the TV universe. We mentioned WandaVision a little bit, but the What If episode with T'Challa as Star-Lord.
As Quill, as Star-Lord, yeah.
And I just love the idea that it just, by T'Challa, just the sheer force of his goodness, he's able to kind of impart that on everybody else. And I love the scene where Yondu is meeting T'Challa's real parents and having to... So, how did you... wind up coming into contact with T'Challa?
Yeah.
Well, that's a funny story there. It's a great scene.
Yeah. Okay, Winfield.
My final choice.
Who was Lewis? Lewis who?
Another Lewis.
Lewis. Parker Lewis.
Joe Lewis.
Parker Lewis. Is Red Guardian.
Oh yeah.
David Harbour's character
God, yeah.
in Black Widow.
Haven't seen it yet.
Wow. He is great. it's a great dad role of him playing like the father, not the real father, but like the kind of pretend government father of Natasha and Yelena. Is that her name? Yelena, I think. But he is like this kind of like disgraced Russian super soldier who is too fat for his costume.
Yeah.
He's trying to constantly relive his glory days. He's like stuck in this Russian gulag super prison.
Yeah. He was always the dollar store knockoff of Captain America anyway.
Yeah.
He
just carries himself with such like bravado and confidence, and his accents I think is pretty good. I mean, I don't know from Russian accents, so like whatever, but like I believed whatever he was throwing down.
Yeah.
He's so just magnanimous. He's just got such a big personality, but he's also so broken. He just wants to have like his family reunited, but they're not really his real family.
Yeah.
And the daughters kind of hate him.
Yeah.
And his wife is kind of like, well, wasn't.
He sold them into slavery, yet he wants their adoration and respect after not.
He's like, I made you tough girls, my girls. Yeah. But he's just so good.
Yeah.
Like he's such an interest. It's just, and just there are just these moments where he's constantly trying to compare himself to like Captain America. Not that they ever fought.
Yeah.
Not that they ever had any sort of interaction.
Yeah.
But he had his own shield. He had his own outfit that I was like, so strong.
Oh God, yeah.
You got to see it, Rich. It's good.
Yeah, I don't know how I just sort of missed it, and just one of those things where I know my son saw it and liked it.
So like there's a really hard like kind of like the opening title sequence of the movie that shows like these girls that are like thrown into like child trafficked and slave. It's like really hard. It was like
dark. Yeah, I did see the beginning of it, and there's a little bit of like, are we sure we're okay with this? But
yeah, I mean, but he is just so. He just does like these fun, like real, like super heroic things too. Like he has like this extra strength that you don't realize he has right away. He's like throwing like huge
called
trucks.
Dad strength.
He's got dad strength. Yeah, but he's just got good interactions with the daughters who really. I mean, they both. Scarlett Johansson's just so great in that role, and the other one, Yelena, can't think of that actress's name, but she's so good. I think she's the best thing in that movie.
Pugh.
Yeah,
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also it's interesting the transformation he makes in the opening. Spoiler. He is in disguise as a suburban American person, and he's doing it even though nobody's watching. Although I guess they could be bugged at that time. Yeah. So when we see him as Red Guardian later, it's such a vastly different character. His character helped give me make me feel like what daughters must feel about their dads. Like it instead of the Red Guardian outfit, it could have been his members only.
For sure.
Jacket still fits.
There's elements of like Al Bundy talking about the 4 touchdowns he scored in one game.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay.
And the cluelessness as to the psychological trauma that he's created for these young women, yet still wanting their adoration and connection as a family. Yeah. Oh God, that's funny. Okay. We sure did this, you guys. We sure did this. The lots of colorful characters that make up this universe. Let's go with.
Can't wait for a third tier.
MCU characters. Oh my God, there's got to be some
like the cape, like a Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange.
Inanimate objects.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, let's just write that one down.
The cape.
Right? Thank you all listeners for not doing shit.
Let's go with Lewis, and let's go with Shuri, and let's go with Grandmaster. And do we need another one? I think we need another one. Okay, let's go with Korg. All right,
sounds good.
This has been the thing that we said at the top. We followed through. We did it. We landed the plane in the place that it said on the ticket you bought, and that is second tier Marvel characters. I'm always Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.